Take a stroll down Franklin Avenue, the main street in Fort McMurray. You'll notice one thing.
There's a lot of pickup trucks in Fort McMurray.
Yeah, there sure is. It's really kind of a neat town. You got so many young guys that anywhere else they wouldn't be making the kind of money they are. So here they
And there's a lot of money to be made here, but it comes with a cost. Working the oil patch is grueling and isolating work. Most people who come here are transplants from somewhere else. Bruce Taylor is one of the few residents who actually grew up here.
It's a totally different city than it was 25 years ago. So yeah, a lot of change, very fast-paced.
And there are many unable to keep up. As sitting campaign chair of the United Way, Taylor sees another side of the boom in Fort McMurray.
I would have to say the people who've been left behind, a lot of them are the people that are going to struggle with issues in their lives. Some of it is the problem that people have with being prepared to be in Fort McMurray. I encounter people here that show up and they don't have a place to stay, they don't have a job lined up, they may not even have high school education, but they heard McMurray is the place to be, and there's a disconnect there because reality is a little different.
It's not what you would expect to find in a town where six-figure salaries are common. But the high cost of living has left a lot of residents out in the cold. Jazzy has lived in Fort McMurray all her life, but has no home. Instead, she braves the cold northern Alberta temperatures each night in a tent.
It's pretty hard sometimes because I live in a tent. I live in a tent now for 4 years, and I may not look like it, but I do.
At first glance, you would never guess Jazzy's among the homeless here. Well-groomed and made up, she presents a different image. But below the surface is a lot of pain.
I never got a chance to go to school. I grew up in a foster home. I've been sexually abused as a child and then never had a childhood life.
Her story is a common one at the Center of Hope, a day drop-in center where anyone in need can come in to warm up, take a nap, have a shower, and wash their clothes.
This was 2 half duplexes. Two families lived in here, then it went to a doctor's office. It was never built for the intention of being a drop-in center. So our renovations and repairs are just through the roof because, you know, hot water tanks go down.
But the house is not the only thing here that needs repair. Momin says it's the lives that walk through the door that require the most help.
The majority of people who come here have crack addiction, so they're using drugs. The other portion of them are solvent users, alcohol problems, and that type of thing. And they have had lots of rejection in their life. They've had lots of put downs, etc. So we just work on building relationships with them and having them trust us, and that's so that we can help them out.
The Center of Hope opened a few years ago after a crisis hit Fort McMurray.
Our winters can get very cold. There was absolutely nowhere for these people to go. And so we lost some of our homeless people because they died from, you know, exposure in the winter and that. And Fellowship Baptist Church and the Board of Elders and the pastors there just felt that there had to be something that we could do.
And so the Blue House on the corner opened up and became a beacon in the community. For Jazzy, it was the hope she needed.
When you're having a bad day and whatever, and you walk in here, and then, you know, even somebody giving you, when you need the hug and you go up to the staff and say you need a hug, they give you a hug. And there is hope.
But the job of helping the homeless is a big one that grows each year. The population boom's strain on infrastructure has also impacted the nonprofit sector. And that's where the church community comes in, according to Bruce Taylor, who is also a pastor.
This is the first community I've been in where the churches really work well together. And I mean, I don't use the word ecumenical a whole lot, but it is nice to know that if I need something, the pastor at McMurray Gospel Assembly or at the Pentecostal Assembly or the Alliance Church or the Lutheran Church or the Anglican Church, they're there, they're going to help me, they're going to come by my side because we have so many things that draw us together that are the same instead of focusing on our differences.
The Fort McMurray Ministerial Committee, a group of Protestant and Catholic churches, has come together to fill in the growing gap between the haves and have-nots in the city. And that means dishing up help wherever it's needed.
Oh man, you guys outdid yourselves again today, didn't you?
The kitchen at Fellowship Baptist Church is always cooking with activity. Everyday volunteers from churches across the city come here and serve lunch to the homeless. Today's group of transplanted Newfoundlanders from a local Pentecostal church is serving up a turkey dinner.
I come here because for me it's the homeless people, and I guess like to say, like, all of us is only one paycheck away from being homeless sometimes.
The soup kitchen is a joint venture with the Salvation Army, and Pastor Brent Carter says it's a good example of the spirit of cooperation in Fort McMurray's faith community. Generosity, too. Both the soup kitchen and the Center of Hope are run entirely on donations.
At our congregation, they are continuing to be as generous as ever, and I think God is supplying for them at this point at that high level. And really that's one of the challenges too, because we live in a materialistic city and there's a lot here. I think there's a challenge for us to really focus on the treasures that really count.
For Moment, those treasures walk through her door every day.
I really totally feel that God has placed me here, but in addition to that, you just absolutely fall in love with these people. You know, when they're hurting, you hurt, right? When they succeed and they have such joy in their life, we celebrate that with them.
And it's not just the homeless who need a place of hope. Taylor says the church's reach has extended to the oil patch.
The spiritual climate in this city is an interesting one. It's, on one hand, some people would say it's very depressed, it's very dark, and because there is a lot of challenges, and that's true. But I think that when you show the light of the world and you tell people the truth, they are hungry for it. We've handed out thousands of Bibles just this last year in this community, and it's been really well received. We've got people doing ministry in the camps and talking to people, and they can't keep enough books and enough Bible studies going in some of these camps. And so there is a huge hunger.
And where the church can't reach, the airwaves can.
Chaos 91.1 music for your daily grind.
And in the daily grind of falling oil prices, economic instability, and rumors of more to come, Murray Jordan says it might just force people to dig for something deeper, something more than the black gold lurking beneath the soil.
Money's one thing, and to have lots of toys and a big house is great, but if you're not happy, then I don't know if that's really what you should be looking for to find.
So this may not be boomtown?
It's a boomtown, but it might not be El Dorado, the city of gold.
In Fort McMurray, Denise Lodde, 100 Huntley Street.